it's terrific to be here with you all, and it's great to see the excitement and energy and the products that you guys are producing. When they asked me to come and participate, I wasn't exactly sure what I could bring to this event. I am not planning to do any code. I'm not planning to spin up any Spark clusters here. But what I was really excited about was that I understand about 85% of you are developers and data scientists. And it's rare that I get an opportunity to spend some time talking to the people that are actually making things happen and getting the job done. So I wanted to start off by thanking you and thanking you for the contributions that you're making. And I'm sure that the people in this room are going to be changing the world in many profound ways over the next handful of years. My interest in Spark started about a year ago. I was talking to one of the Databricks guys, Arsalan, and not having a data science or IT background per se, I'm responsible for implementing some of these things, so I'm reading up, trying to understand how a lot of these big data analytics work. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, well, I understand how it gets this job done, but it just seems like there's a lot of opportunity for improvement. And so I finally had a chance to talk to someone kind of one-on-one in my office, ask some of the dumb questions, and it turns out there was a lot of resonance around, there's a lot of room for improvement, and these guys have been working on something for about 3 years or so, 4 years, and they were quickly starting to roll something out called Spark. And so I've seen it over the last year. I understand this conference has grown dramatically from 400 a year and a half ago to the 2,000 plus that we have now. So it's really exciting, and I think the advances that you guys are going to pull off will be really terrific. So analytics for government. I just want to say a couple words about how I'm thinking about this problem or approaching things. I'm not really looking at it from the data or the big data side as much as from the what problem are we trying to solve and what solutions and questions are we trying to answer. And so it really is an approach that would be like building or developing satellite and aircraft, almost any other kind of thing that you're looking at in terms of what is it that you're trying to accomplish by putting all of this together. And I've found that by trying to work backwards in terms of those objectives, that we've been able to do some very innovative things. We've been able to put some innovative programs and processes all the way back to the incoming data and ingest together. And we've been able to sharpen our focus on the data that we need and the kinds of solutions and the answers that we're trying to deliver. So, and it's important that we deliver answers because these are the men and women at the CIA and other places in the intelligence community that we are trying to support. So we have directorates that do operations, analysis, science and technology, do support, logistics, HR, et cetera. And we have a new directorate now called the Directorate for Digital Innovation. And you may have seen in the press our director talking about modernization and how we're moving forward. One of the big thrusts of that is to try to bring the operations folks and the analysts together. And so we're doing that with the hope that we can make smarter operations decisions and sharpen our analysis and make those connections as good as we possibly can. One of the other big thrusts, which we're part of, is this Digital Innovation Directorate. And so CIO will be partnered with other technical components in CIA, and we will be building out and continuing to build what we think is some of the most advanced digital technology in support of our mission. And we partner with the science and technology community in doing that as well. So you see our mission there to carry out the intelligence cycle. It ends up being a pretty big deal. There's a lot to support, and it's critical. The stakes are pretty high, and having the best in terms of digital technology and data technology is very important to us, and that's part of why we're here. So what do we need? Insights, but we're no different than all of the other companies and other places that are here. We have our particular bent or focus on different things, but I know and I understand that businesses need fast and accurate and predictive insights. I had dinner last night with some people from OpenTable, which I thought was very fascinating, and hearing about some of the technology and analytics that they present for that. And what's striking to me is that a lot of the technology that you build that's applied for OpenTable, much of that is very similar to the kinds of things that we need in the intelligence community. So it's critically important that we partner with you all and that we sort out together how best to do some of the kinds of functions that you all are talking about here at the conference. So things are changing. One of the big events that has been public that we were able to do was develop a relationship with Amazon Web Services. In October of 2013, right before the first Spark conference, I understand, we were able to sign a contract with Amazon, and Amazon has now implemented for us our own region on our premises, partitioned by networks, but we are now the proud sponsors of, not necessarily full owners of, but the proud sponsors of an Amazon region. And we're continuing to build out features and capabilities and tools in that region very quickly. And I believe that this is going to be a game changer for how we move forward. And I think it's going to facilitate a lot of innovation and a lot of the kinds of things that you guys bring together in this room. I will say the relationship with Amazon has been absolutely terrific for us. They have made a huge commitment to our community. They have invested a lot of personal resources, finances, reputation, et cetera. And for the last year and a half, they have done a terrific job delivering for us. So we are involved with them and plan to be for this foreseeable future. And the goal is, within that Amazon Web Services region, is to create a software ecosystem. And so while it is pretty cool to have a cloud, and it is pretty cool to be able to spin up some compute environments or VMs or Access S3, you know, what really matters is what are we going to do with the environment that we have. And so our goal and our job is to put the best tools that we can possibly find at the fingertips of the analysts. And we'd like to do it with a lot less friction and a lot faster than what we have traditionally in the past. So I'm somewhat of an inventor on the side, and I'm familiar with this. If you build a better mousetrap, the world won't necessarily beat a path to your door. So we're dealing with a lot of this within our culture. Some of this is culture change as much as it is technology change. But one of the things in thinking about this particular talk and working with you all and coming out to Silicon Valley, I tried to think about, okay, what is it that makes the Valley work, or how does the Valley work? And maybe you guys understand this, but I'm not sure that I know. I'm not sure how venture capitalists invest to make money on open source software, and how we have large companies and small companies here working side by side on a lot of the same products. It's tremendously interesting to me to read some of the blogs that are out there on some of these contests or benchmarks, the sort and shuffle contest and all of these other things. And it's terrific to see the innovation that goes into that and the teaming and pairing that goes into solving those problems, because you can see how solving those problems leads to real answers on the back end. And at the same time, we've got government solutions. And so as we put together this ecosystem, what I do know is that we need an effective partnership with each one of these entities. And so partnering with the folks that finance opportunities, the folks that develop open source, the folks from the large corporations that have R&D and innovation, the folks from the startups, there's a lot of opportunity for us. And the other thing that I'm very interested in is how can we contribute back as the government? We've got a lot of smart people, and while there's some security boundaries and other things, there are ways that we can be part of this ecosystem, and I believe help to contribute back a little bit some of the technology and insights that we may have developed that help sharpen the overall products. And so you hear Amazon talks about the virtuous cycle. You hear that talked about a fair amount. It seems like it's working. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it's terrific to see it working and to see it working in conferences like this. And then I know that it is going to be tremendously valuable for us in terms of what the mission outcomes are as we move forward. So this is also something that we're dealing with a lot in terms of culture. And bringing a cloud in with a very traditional bureaucracy is pretty difficult. And we've got people carrying both of these banners, and then we have the whole death by 1,000 cuts. So getting the process in place for security approvals and acquisition and all of those other things within government is something that we are aggressively working on, so that the kind of technology and the kind of really cutting edge analytics that you guys are developing and delivering can get into our ecosystem, and that we can put it to work for the national security opportunities. So just a couple things specifically about Spark, and you guys recognize, you designed, you built. The left-hand side of this, I'm not sure if the exact numbers are right. The contributors are probably higher. I hear they may be in the 700. The lines of code are probably significantly more at this point in time. But this is an innovative environment. And so a couple things about the analytics that we need. The fast in streaming is very important because a lot of the signatures or the other things that we are trying to detect in data that's out there and available or that we collect, those signatures need to be detected relatively quickly. So speed is absolutely critical. We don't have the time now to move everything to a centralized database and be able to analyze all of that in one location. And speaking of which, distributed is something that is very important to us. I think I've been a bit in the minority in our community, but I've been told that we cannot do proper analytics unless we bring all the data together in one location, in one database, and we run the big data analytic tools against that. And I do think I kind of get that maybe that's optimal, maybe that's the best way to go maximize the value of the data, but I am pretty sure that it's not very practical and it's not fast, and I'm not sure that everything needs to be in the same format, and yet I would like to be able to do analytics across those distributed data sets. I'm not sure if anyone has really done the math or the homework exactly on if you have half your data on the East Coast and half on the West Coast, a little bit of comm between them, and you run an environment like Spark or you run the analytics against that, what is the difference between that kind of environment versus having all of your data in one location of which you can then go run the compute and manipulate all in place? And in talking with some of the Spark folks and the Databricks guys, I believe there's a tremendous amount we can do with distributed analytics, and this is something that I think is very important to us. And I hope that you guys will continue to push the envelope on how do we do the right data sorting, moving, handling, combining at the right steps and the right frequency such that we can very closely approximate having all the data in one location. In terms of interoperability, this is pretty important as well. I don't want to be locked into a database technology. I would like, if I have those distributed databases, to be able to have several different types from several different suppliers. I don't want to dictate to a mission what database technology that they need to use or how they need to ingest or ETL. But at the same time, I want to have that data available, and I want to make it interoperable and be able to run the tools against it that we need to run. So my understanding is, with the goals that you have in Spark and the progress you've made, that being able to do those kinds of functions and being able to do that across a whole variety of data sources is the kind of thing that's there and is going to be enhanced and is going to continue to be of significant amount of value. So we don't want to compromise on bringing it together, but we do want to have the speed and the advantages of a distributed and interoperable system. And then finally, the machine learning is absolutely fantastic. And we've dipped our toe in this water some. I think there's a lot more that we can do here. I believe this offers us an environment to really implement a lot of algorithms and a lot of advances that should be a significant game changer in terms of what we do in the intelligence community. So putting that kind of learning together, I think, with the other features is critically important. And when you think about that, if we can make significant progress across these four attributes, we're now starting to put in the hands of our operators and analysts a set of tools at the speed that they need and the speed of insight that I think will help in terms of their daily decision making and the ways that they inform our national policymakers. So I wanted to start by thanking you, and I want to end by continuing to challenge you to develop and innovate and push the envelope. My guess is there will be a Spark 2 or a next-gen Spark or something different than Spark 4 or 5 years from now, because as we stand here today, there's probably people in a lab somewhere thinking there's a whole better way to do this. And I think that's terrific, and I think we ought to really push that and embrace that and run with what we have here. And I know that as you guys make progress, it's going to make a big difference for our mission, and it's going to make a big difference for missions across businesses globally and worldwide. So one last thing I wanted to mention, which something I came across that I thought was pretty innovative in connecting the valley and the hill, was this Sinewave Ventures, which is a new kind of venture capital startup, and it really has the goal of connecting government to the valley. And even on their little sine wave, they got the Capitol Hill and the valley with the Golden Gate Bridge there. I'm thinking there's probably another sine wave geographically, if you think about from Boston to Austin to Seattle to San Diego. But putting together those kinds of connections is very important. And this particular venture was set up to really help with being part of the gateway into government. And remembering that a lot of the solutions we need are very similar to what's developed in the private sector, I think removing some of that friction and offering opportunities for venture capitalists, for startups, for large corporations to invest and connect with government is critically important. And so we're going to develop these relationships, and I want you to know that we're going to make a commitment to making these kinds of things work, and we're going to do it in a way that I hope dramatically advances our national security. So thank you. I really appreciated being here, and thank you for all the work you do. Thank you very much.